What is going on, folks? It is Common Sense, and we are back. So, well, first I'm gonna go ahead and let your boy, CJ, go ahead on and give his little, title spiel, genre, whatever you got.
This is Cole from C Julius Workout. Check me out on YouTube and Instagram.
You already know it's your boy Enemies Right Fitness out here. Check me out on Instagram. Also, Enemies Right Fitness now on Instagram as well too. So we are splitting up. It's like now I'm fucking with you. But we are splitting up the channel though. So the YouTube recommendation system makes a little bit kind of iffy sometimes. So we're splitting up the channel. So this will be the main reaction channel. And then we are also going to have a separate business channel. And we're going to put that link in the description after we upload this video too. YouTube channel is going to be called Liftish. So it's like Blackish Liftish. So already got that set up. And we're going to be uploading videos very soon to you guys. So this episode actually is about, Migos rapper Takeoff being shot and killed in Houston. So we're sorry, was it here? Yeah, it was Houston. Yeah. I know he's from Houston, sorry, but I believe it was in Dallas. So we're going to react to that.
The hospital is charging firearms or shooting, not sure which. Them just intel in Dallas. However, they shot and claiming.
28-year-old rapper Takeoff is shot and killed at a private party in Houston, Texas. Officials say it happened in the early morning hours of November 1st at a bowling alley in the city's downtown. Officials say Takeoff, whose real name is Kershnik Kari Ball, was shot in the head or neck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In emergency audio released after the shooting, dispatchers can be heard saying 5 shots were fired.
There's 5 shots fired from downstairs outside near 2004.
Officials with the Houston Police Department say between 40 and 50 people were at the private party that ended at about 1 o'clock in the morning. More than an hour later, at 2:40 a.m., dispatch received a call about the deadly shooting.
People next door are calling in about discharging firearms.
According to TMZ, Takeoff and fellow Migos rapper Quavo were playing dice when a fight broke out. After that, someone opened fire. Quavo was not injured, but 2 other people were. Police say they were taken to nearby hospitals in private vehicles. Right now, their conditions are unknown.
He's going to check out 22B23 1212 Grand Plaza for discharging firearms.
Investigators on the scene found multiple shell casings on the 3rd level of the building outside of the bowling and pool hall. From here, investigators say they will look at surveillance video of the scene to determine what led up to the shooting. Takeoff and the group Migos rose to fame after their 2013 hit Versace was released. Takeoff was the youngest member of the group. Quavo was his uncle, and 3rd member Offset was his cousin. For the latest developments in this story and all things true crime, stay with Long Crime Network.
So yeah, Glenn, let you take it first.
Yeah, so I want to say, man, I was mad this morning because Takeoff is my favorite person in the group. He's one of my more favorite rappers. So I was hurt by this, but correct me if I'm wrong. Did the reporter did she say that Offset and Quavo, their condition is like unknown at the time of the video?
No. She said 2 other people who were injured in the shooting were taken to the hospital in their condition.
Okay, got you. Okay, yeah. So, okay, guys, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. It's a crazy situation, man. Because like, my question would be is like, so a lot of these rappers, especially recently, have been getting killed. That's the last 3 to 4 years have been a lot more frequent. And what I want to know is like, who were they shooting dice with?
Well, they said it was a private party. It was pretty much said it's a private party, right? And I follow a bunch of different, just like you do. You know what I mean? Like I think we were talking earlier today with what's the name of their YouTube channel with like Antoine and I forget the name of theirs.
Lapeef. Yeah, he has me for Lapeef, and he was on his channel with the Billionaire Network, something like that.
Yeah. and of course, immediately people were kind of like jumping conclusions. There was comparing this to the whole like Nipsey Hussle kind of like situation. It's like, oh, he's rich, he shouldn't be there, blah blah, type stuff or whatever, right? Now, so this is what I will say. From what I understand, this was supposed to be a private party, right? Now, that being said, there's so many things that we don't know. So it could have security. Maybe it didn't, right? Now, this is I will say that I have kind of just come upon this information, so I don't know how true it is. But what's trending right now online is that apparently Quavo, right? Quavo was the one who was gambling, was rolling dice, right? I don't know if it's true or not, but they're saying that he was losing. He was losing bad apparently, and then I guess at some point, during the evening, he got up, started getting loud at whoever he was losing, his money to, whatever, and then apparently either him or a person of his party, right, that was with him, actually started drawing first and then started shooting first. Then they say that Takeoff didn't really know what was going on at the time. So then Takeoff, during the middle of all of this, got up, and they're actually saying that it could have actually been like friendly fire.
That's what I heard on the show this morning.
Yeah.
They were saying that apparently somebody on their team,
yeah,
I say their Migos team is the one that actually would have probably have shot.
And it was accidental. We know it was
Yeah,
accidental.
yeah, exactly. And I can understand it. You think you're in a private, let's say there's 50 people. It was like 4:00. It is early in the morning, dark.
Yeah.
I can definitely, you moving around, trying to get around. I can see that.
Yeah.
And I guess my question to me is like, so okay, so this is my state of mind, right? All right, I got money. Me and you, we hanging out, we shooting dice. I don't shoot dice. Let's say we shooting dice, right? Here's my thing: is like, why are you hanging out? Like, I'm not trying to victim blame, but it's just, I guess I'm surprised that they're hanging out with people. They're gambling with people who are like ready to shoot them. Like, to me, it's like, okay,
but at the same time, but based on what you're saying, they are also willing to shoot, though. You know what I'm saying?
And I guess that's what I mean. Is like, I feel like my thought process is like, they've made enough money. They have this fame, the ability to make money. Like you're that emotional. Like you're losing that bad that you're willing to like lose your life. I mean, that's crazy to me at that level of what they've accomplished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I'm not going to disagree because they've been out for almost 10 years now.
It just seems weird to me.
I think ultimately, right, is that the people don't really like change, right? And so, Migos, they have pretty humble beginnings. I don't really know a whole lot about each one specifically.
Yeah,
but they're roughly like, I think the last looked it up, like each of them is probably worth like 20, 30 million, right? And here's the reality of the situation, though. If you're from that environment and you're from that's kind of like the whole. Matter of fact, and I'll compare it to this. Maybe that shit back in the day with T.I.
T.I.'s always a shit, but yeah, there's any moment with T.I., right?
Right. Yeah, she was way back in the day, right? When T.I. got caught like with all this fucking rocket launchers and all this crazy shit, or whatever. Right?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, all the guns and all the weapons he had, like he was going to war.
Right. And then they interviewed him and asked him, like, well, why? You're rich now, you have to do this, and blah, 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 and all this crazy stuff or whatever, right? So, T.I., if you follow him in the early parts, he had a friend, we used to call him Big Phil, right? And if you followed his music, right, you kind of knew that he had two personas, right? He had T.I., performer, rapper, blah, 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 and then he had Tip. Tip was like the real him, right? And he would try to be T.I. a lot of the time. But then, Tip would kind of like interfere at times. And when Big Phil got shot and killed, T.I. admitted that at that point he didn't have any weapons on him. He was kind of trying to, move into like a better life, a better situation, right? And with fame and fortune and everything like that. And then, Big Phil got shot and killed. And he admitted, he was like, that was the one time I wish I had had my gun on me, right? So I think it's like if you come from like that environment, then it's really, really hard to just be like, oh, I'm rich now. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter anymore. you know, because it's ultimately it's the mindset, right? And people
Yeah.
forget that, like, you know,
No, I get what you're saying. That
yeah,
mindset to me is so powerful that it even like transcends across
yeah,
situations that don't make sense. Because like the Ti situation, your point, like okay, your boy got shot, that makes sense. But that mentality is so strong, it also crosses over into situations where they don't make sense. Like in this case, gambling. Because
yeah,
again, to your point, I completely agree. In my standpoint, I'm not a street dude, so to me, it's just like, dude, you got money. Like, why are you willing to shoot somebody? Why don't you just pay them? Like
yeah,
that's just crazy. Or keep playing. If you got enough money, keep playing. It's just like why are y'all like why don't y'all go to like a baccarat table at the like they're in Texas. Like I'm pretty sure to my knowledge, Texas is gambling, legal gambling in Texas. I know
well,
I
yeah.
know I
Everything's
know it
legal
ain't
in
the same
Texas.
as what they're used to doing on the street, but it's just odd to me that you would go to that extent. It's a sad situation because it's like, dang man, y'all really about that life. Like I'm just
Yeah,
wild to me, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
yeah. Um,
I mean,
I don't know.
can you imagine being Quavo and then again, assuming what you said is accurate based on what
Yeah,
you
we
were
don't know.
told,
Yeah,
to know that you got angry because you were losing and effectively have indirectly have killed your nephew.
yeah, that would definitely suck. I mean, you know, I
And
don't
that's
know.
just I don't know, man. That's just like I just think like
But my issue with my issue with the whole situation with them is that like anybody knows like their background. So from what I understand, their background, they were not like from like the hood, right? Where they grew up with like this like Winnet City or some shit like that or whatever, right? Which is like mostly like a suburban area.
yeah, that's what I'm aware of as well. Again, I just moved down to Atlanta. Like I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I'm near like Gwinnett County, which is where they're supposed to be from.
yeah,
Again, that was like probably what they're like almost like I think takeoff's like 20. I think Quavo's like 30, 31. So
yeah.
that's a long time
Takeoff was the
ago.
youngest. He
I'm
was
not trying to
28.
question nobody's street cred, but I
Yeah,
got you. Yeah.
yeah. Takeoff was the youngest when he was 28. Quavo's like 31, so he's like around our age. You know what I mean? It does kind of bother. But then again, it bothers me. But then at the same time, I think that there are people who, when it comes to like the rap game specifically, right? There are people who are really about that life, right? And when we were coming up, we knew the real ones. You know what I mean? Like nobody ever quit the game. You know what I'm saying? Tip, Jeezy, Gucci, like Boosie, like those are the real ones. Like we knew they was really about that life. They had like motherfuckers like Plies, you know what I mean? Who I mean, and again, it's nothing even like it's not even anything personal. It really isn't.
It applies as a genius.
Yeah,
He's a
exactly.
legitimate genius.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like Two Chains is like has like fucking like two bachelor's degrees and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, and again, right? And mind you, being in the hood, right? Being from the hood doesn't necessarily make you hard, right? And not being from the hood does not make you soft either. Like if you can scrap, you can scrap. You can practice shooting on your own. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee I'm a better shot than most motherfuckers probably from the hood. You know what I mean? But I've been professionally trained to shoot. So that being said, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of times when it comes, especially for like black people, that's kind of how we are. It's like, oh well, you almost have to put on that persona. So then they came up making that type of music and shit. So of course, then I think that maybe there's a part of them maybe almost like have started believing that. You know what I mean? And like that was like they're buying what they're selling. That's the problem.
Yeah, like you got to keep the live going.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's where it's kind of like, like the issue. And then you see the difference between like a lot of artists, like Bryson Tiller, for example, right? You like he over here, fuck these hoes, go club, whatever, traps up and all this extra shit. And that nigga married with his wife and his daughter, and you'll never hear him about in public doing anything. He just enjoying his money in his life.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's where like, and that's kind of like it's like really sad because I don't know if you noticed this, but I felt like as we were growing up, right? Like you said, like in the early 2000s, late 90s, the dudes who were really were making rap music, generally speaking, were apparently, or to our knowledge, really were like really in
Yeah,
that street life. But do you remember like at the end of high school, going into college, how you started seeing guys that you knew lived in a middle class or upper middle class lifestyle pretending to live like they're street dudes, and not just like here and there, but like in mass. And I know nowadays you see it like to me again, like so. Like, let me give you an example, right? Unless you like Jordans are like 150 $200, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Too damn much.
If you really poor and you ain't out here selling drugs, you can't really afford those. But you be seeing a whole bunch of dudes wearing Jordans, wearing all this jewelry, trying to pretend to have that like that hood rich lifestyle when
Yeah,
they really don't represent that in a sense. They're keeping up that lie, and it's like I feel like our like the hip hop music portrays that where it's just like to the extent that like it's obvious, right? For you to feel black, you have to do that. And I just feel like it just gets to an extent where like it can consume you because there's guys like J. Cole who is like so true to himself that no one
yeah,
questions or gives him shit. But he is so good at what he does. He is so true. He does not deviate from himself at all. Which that to me, he represents an actual like wolf, like an alpha male.
yeah.
But there ain't many people out there who are like that true to themselves.
But then
He
again,
is one. He's one of one, in my
but if you
opinion.
look at J. Cole from where he first started, right? That like, and I'll admit, you remember I told you I was not a big J. Cole fan when he first came out. You know what I mean? Like he could always rap and he had a crazy flow, but that was really it though. And for me, like I wanted like a story. Like I need, and that's to me, that's what rap is. It's like you telling
Yeah.
stories. And so at that point, I wasn't really following him. And then I remember he dropped Born Center. I remember he dropped Born Center.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a couple singles like, all right, cool, this shit fire, blah blah blah. And I should listen. Album was really good. And then it made me go back and listen to his like older shit, right? Because the singles were just like really commercial, right? But then what I'm saying, like the warm up and all of that, like that shit was actually really fucking good. So then it made me go and listen to like his shit or whatever, and he really was he's like a real cat. And so I think that's why for me, I was more apt to kind of like listen to him because he was honest. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like there's like even like a video of him from a few years back, right, where he was kind of, I think right after he dropped Queer Eyes Only, and he was on Breakfast Club, and they were talking to him, because started growing his dreads out, shit, and everything like that, or whatever, right? And it was just like, yeah, but it was such a beautiful video though, because he was very honest. He was like, yeah, man, like he said, I sold my car. He said, I don't have a car no more. He's like, just like want to bike around New York City and shit like that. And he was just like honest about his shit. He was like, yeah, man, like he was like, he said, I just wanted jewelry because my cousin had jewelry, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that's what you need to be popping. He was just like, I thought like getting all these girls and all this stuff was like important and stuff like that. He said, but then I had it and then it just felt empty. You know what I mean? And he said, when you place your value in like money and he's like, I'm not saying like you don't still need to make a living and everything like that. You know what I mean? He said, but like if that's what you place your value in, it's never going to know. And I think it's not enough people, especially in the black community, because so many black people have been actually have been disenfranchised. They think that like, well, if I just get this check, then everything's going to be better. But if that was the truth, then why the fuck like no offense, you got niggas like Kanye just okay, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, yay.
Yeah, like it just is what it is, man. Like you say what you want, like there's so many fucking reasons to kill themselves. If money can bring you happiness and everything like that, right? What did Drake say back in the day? He said about money. He said just enough for sorry problems, too much will kill you.
Yeah, I mean, money helps you a little bit, and I agree, man. I feel like to an extent, like when I saw like people like Takeoff being I guess being murdered, PNB Rock, just all the guys recently, even those dudes I didn't even know of, right?
Yeah, nah.
I started doing self reflection, and I was like, and I already knew this, but like people like me are part of the problem because I buy what they're selling. Now, keep in mind, I don't like actually try to live that life. I don't try to portray that life. I don't even deal with dudes like that. But
Yeah,
I do enjoy the beat. I enjoy the creativity, the melodies, the structure of the songs. Like don't get me wrong, I do think it's bad. The music is like demonic. I'll just use that term, but but I do like it, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't. And that's part of the problem because like if I wasn't buying I don't buy the music, but people who go to those concerts, people who buy the music, they're part of the problem. Even if you're like me, where I got a wife and a kid, like I'm not out here
yeah.
knocking down hoes every night. but
Yeah.
I listen to it. And my thing is, if I'm listening to it, other people listening into it.
Yeah.
And if for them to have as much money as they did, it means millions of people across the world listen to this. I just think most people in most communities have a strong enough community where they're not actually trying to like live that life. But in our community,
We don't.
we don't. And it's just like it's at the point where, you know, when we were listening to Anton's live stream this morning,
Yeah.
the dude with the green background was like, he's like, yo, I listen to country now. He said him and his wife gonna go see Darius Rucker. And I'm like, yo, like I do like some country, and I'm like, yo, like I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's just
Ah,
like,
shit, nigga,
like
I got.
like I
Tell you
get what
right now.
I get what he's saying.
I got Tennessee.
I'm not
whiskey in my
going that
playlist
far.
right now.
I'm not going that far, but I completely understand where he's coming from because
Yeah.
it's like you can't straddle the fence. But again, my thing is, I would say to somebody like, dude, why don't you listen to more positive rap? There's tons of it out there. You got to go look for it, but it's there. So I mean, I just know for me, I was just like, yo, like, am I gonna stop listening to it? I don't know, but I know it ain't helping.
I mean, for me, I guess it's complicated too, right? Because I'm very multidimensional. You know what I mean? Like, especially like as a Christian man, right? There are things that I know this is the way, the truth, and then, but also as a black man, right? There's things from my upbringing, right, that still do kind of vibe with me. You know what I mean? And then from my time being in the military, right, I met a lot of people. I got exposed to a lot of different music from overseas, and even a bunch of country boys. Like I actually do have like a pretty extensive like country selection of music that I actually really fuck with.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like I don't. So I think that it's like hard because people try to put us in a box, right? And I think that that's why it's so annoying, right? Because especially for black men specifically, right? And this is not me trying to throw shade to anybody, right? Other black men, they meet you, they expect you to act, dress a certain
Yeah.
way, right? Black women, right, expect you to act, dress, look, you know what I'm saying, like listen to music a certain way. And then on top of that, we also have other people from other races when they meet us, they expect the same thing. You know what I mean? So I do feel like there's a lot of like outside pressure for us to act
Oh yeah, most definitely.
a certain way. My big thing is, and I remember who was I with? I was with one of my homeboys. I'll never forget this shit too. He's been dead since I was listening to Room 5. He needed a ride, you know what I'm saying? And so I gave him a ride to work and shit or whatever, right? And no, I said a ride home. So I gave him a ride home from work or whatever, right? And so we're driving down like Jefferson or something like that. I don't even remember. And let's have Room 5 or whatever, right? And it was a nice day out, so when windows rolled down, whatever. So he's like, nigga, you really gonna sit up here and have this shit playing like out here? Motherfuckers out here gonna think you soft. I said, but I'm not soft. And I wasn't even trying to be funny when I said it though. You know what I mean? I was like, but I'm not soft. I said, that's y'all fucking problem. Y'all still sitting up here worried about like motherfuckers thinking you soft because you don't want to get G-checked. I genuinely feel bad for somebody that really does try me. You know what I mean? So that's why for me, that's not even like I'm like, I don't care. My wife knows. I'm not looking for trouble, but I'm also not scared of it either though. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. I'm out here just doing me, just trying to exist and just, you know what I mean, have a good life and you know what I mean? Like so I'm not worried about putting on no motherfucking, persona. And that's the problem. You know what I mean? So it's like stop pretending. You know what I mean? To be something you're not. And you won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And it's just like it's dudes like me and you sitting here saying this stuff. Problem is the majority of us is just like, yeah, matter of fact, not to go on this long rant, but another one of Anton's videos, he a couple weeks ago he put out there about like he was saying like why does like I guess, and I may be butchering this up, but someone asked him felt like if he smoked or whatever, right? And he was trying to figure out like what is it about him that makes people think he smoked weed like that, right? And I was like, it's because he got the look.
Yeah, he really do though. I mean,
And I hate to say this, like you got the look, I don't have the look. Now, luckily for me, now there is positives and negatives to both, right?
of
But it's
course.
just like it matters, like how because people perceive you differently.
Yeah.
And like, so like for example, like I could put out certain type of music. Like for example, like I could put out Jason Derulo music
Yeah.
and it's not gonna really hurt my money like that.
Nah, it
It's
wouldn't.
not Quavo, not Quavo, but like uh Takeoff couldn't put out Jason Derulo music and not get played, not get questioned, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, and I completely understand what you're talking about when you're saying how the outside influences will dictate how you kind of feel about yourself. Because like I think about now, like how people are perceiving Kanye. Granted, he says crazy stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Kyrie, like if a black man, really any
Kyrie
black person,
Irving? Or
hmm?
who's talking about Kyrie Irving or who talking about?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
if you deviate from what society thinks you're supposed to do, they are quick to question your blackness, question who you are, and that type of mentality is here. I feel like is where we got these situations with these rappers out here. Just it is not necessarily even them, but it's like the society, like PNB Rock. PNB Rock was eating some food, but
Yeah.
the culture cultivated him to do the dude and his father that crazy situation, hunting
Yeah.
him down. Like, yo, I'm gonna take your chain and I'm gonna shoot you. I'm like, like where else? What other community does? Me afraid. I know these things happen in other communities, but at the scale that it happens at ours is just nuts. The scale
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad because it's like we're like the one community where we don't have like let's just call it spade a spade. Like we're the one community that doesn't have an abundance of men in the household, right? So
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and it just is what it is. Like women can try their best, you know what I mean, to try to teach a young man how to be a pimp. But that's our job, you know what I mean. And so people say, "Which one?" I got young. It's a young guy, funny kid. He's like 22, right? Every time he see me, like, "What's up, Unc? What's up, Unc?" And I'm like, "All right, I guess that's me now." But, okay, I'm at that age, whatever, right? But he was like, but he's trying to get in shape and like stuff like that too. And I said at the same time, I was like, "Yo, he young, right?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, these bitches, blah blah blah, some love hoes, whatever, blah blah." I'm like, "Bro, I'm trying to tell you right now." I said, "If you could just find a job, you make decent money, lock in on that job, work your way up the ladder. Number one. Number two, right? Just not get a girl pregnant." Like no, and like it was funny. He did the same thing, dead ass, right? He started laughing, right? He's like, "You crazy?" I said, "I'm telling you right now." I said, "If you could just if you could just make it like 6, 7, 8 years, right?" I said, "You're 22, right?" He said, "Yeah, make it 8 years. By the time you're 30, I'm telling you right now, you keep working out, you keep stacking your bread up, doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? You don't have no kids. I don't like wedlock, whatever." So I'm trying to say, right, you're 30 years old, yeah, you make it better, okay? And on top of that, you're not gonna have no negative connotations about women. I said, because a lot of times the problem is that you just take whatever you can get. You know what I mean? And then like you're like, "Oh, my baby mama this, my baby." Same thing with these young people out here speaking like these, the roughnecks or whatever, right? You know what I mean? They're like, "Oh, fuck niggas, blah blah blah," because they were young. They were really young and they didn't listen to nobody else. They told them, "You just calm the fuck down, keep it in your pants, chill out, wait a few years." You know what I mean? And then they just waited a few years, right? They just waited a few years and like, "You know what, you're right. I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna focus on me, whatever, right? 20, 25, 26, 27, right?" And then kind of like started then they would have had a much easier time trying to meet somebody, right? Because like if you keep doing that shit, whether you're a man or a woman, I don't care what nobody say, that shit is going to ruin you. It is going to ruin you. You're going to keep all you're going to do is going to take all that bullshit, all that drama to the next relationship, to the next relationship, next relationship, next relationship. When you finally find somebody good, you even know how to appreciate them because you done already had all these bad experiences with all these other niggas, all these other females.
Yeah, and I think like like what you're saying there, that's the difference to me between someone that's high value
Yeah.
and someone that just got money. Like what you're talking about goes back to what I'm about to take off. Is like your life experiences and learning those things gives you perspective and gives you the ability to be able to like, how do I want to say this, like you got a more mature thought process. Like
Yeah.
you're not being immature, you're not emotional, you're not making bad decisions. Like to be able to be at 22 and be able to be on your purpose,
Nah, yeah, you're right. It's
not
hard.
work, is extremely
It
difficult.
is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So like how we were saying earlier about how like you from the hood, so maybe you want to go roll some dice or whatever.
Yeah.
That takes a lot level of maturity to be like, hey, I got money now. Let me not do this hood shit no
Yeah.
more. Because it doesn't make sense. But if you've been doing that, messing around with dirty women, not wearing condoms,
Yeah. For real, man.
but that like like for example, like growing up, dudes be like, oh well, man, if it feel better if you don't wear a condom. It's like, yeah, idiot. We all know that. But
Yeah.
the thing about it, though, it takes so much more it takes so it's more it's how do I say this? It requires so much more self-discipline to put on the condom.
Yeah, you go.
It seemed easy, but it's not.
It's really not.
And you know, and that dude calling you uncle is him looking at you is like respect. It's a respect thing. He's like, man, shy. He's swole. This dude got a good job. He got he got a wife. He got kids. He that's.
Yeah, no, man. Like, and again, it's like
You may not see it like that, but that's what he's saying. You know what I mean?
And I do, I get it. Because we was there. We was both. I was 22, you remember? I was 22, 23. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I'm all over it. Like, I see normal shit, man. Like, for real. But, like, and honestly, you know what I'm saying? Not to be weird, but, like, honestly, like, just having you around really helped me, like, not do no stupid shit. You know what I mean? For real. Because if you ain't got nobody else, like, who's doing something with their life, you're going to think it's normal. Vice versa. It was funny, even when, like, my 2-year anniversary just passed and everything like that. And we were out, and, you know, we had a good time for the birthday party, whatever. It was funny. We were talking. It was like, I can't remember who it was when we at the party. He was like, "Oh, do you have any like single friends or something like that?" Right? You know. And I really was like, not even trying to be mean. I was like, not really. I was like, pretty much all my friends are married. I'm not even ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? And so every time I have that conversation, they're like, "Really? Like all your friends are married?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, I got one friend who is not married. I want to say, but pretty much all the rest of them are married. Like, yeah, it was. I said that was just my friend. It was normal, you know. So I said, so if you same thing, if you like, you know, most of them are trying to do other business ventures or you find like careers that they're genuinely like invested in and stuff like that too. If you keep people in your life like that, like you know what I mean, like it will drive you to do something. Okay, you may not be on their level or whatever, but I'm telling you right now, like that type of like motivation will eventually wear off.
Facts, man. That's like, what is it? What do they say? Like, dress to become the person you want to be. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, as like the company you keep is something like when you were younger, you hear that you'd be like, oh, kind of like whatever.
Yeah, but it's the truth. Really, and that's like even like my daughter. I love her to death. It's like my daughter. Every time I tell her, I know it's going to one ear, not the other. But it's funny because it's not funny because I remember when I was her age, I did the same fucking thing too. And it was some niggas that was around my age and trying to tell me the same thing, and I didn't fucking listen. And I wish I could go back and still hit me in the face and be like, yo, you need to chill the fuck out, listen to these motherfuckers, right? They know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, like there's a reason why like I don't hang out with street dudes.
Yeah, no, and if look, I will have a conversation with anybody. And anybody know that, right? I will never, because I done met cats from like the hood being in the military, just joining, trying to get out of that shit too. And, you know what I mean? And it was all love. You know what I'm saying? Now, that being said, like some of them, you know what I'm saying? It was, oh man, I'm going out, Portsmouth. I'm not even from here. I'm going out and hanging out Portsmouth. What the fuck you doing over there, bro? Like,
yeah, like yep. Like I remember I met people. I know people would be like, yo, let's go to this party here, and you're like, yo, that's not a safe place. Why are we going over there? Like, who do you know over there? Are y'all close like that?
yeah.
Nah, it's somebody I know. Somebody I'm like wow, that don't sound like a safe. That don't sound smart to me
At all.
But it's just like those little things make a world of difference in how your life is gonna shape and develop. And when you're young, you don't see it like that.
Yeah.
But it don't take much for your life to just change like that, to go from like, oh, I'm progressing doing this, to being in jail, having a baby early, getting caught, being in a situation where you're in a car, while someone's committing a murder. Now it's so
you just said you're an accessory. Yeah, like that's real shit. And that's what's like a lot of motherfuckers that be like in our age or whatever, right? Like we need to just start like saying shit. Like for real. They just holding motherfuckers accountable.
Yeah.
And even wife, she'd be like, oh, you can be a little bit blunt sometimes, and I can, admittedly, but especially for like these little young, I do not pull my punches like whatsoever too. I'm like, you need to chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like leave that girl alone. All right, you ain't got, look, and I'm assuming you ain't got no car. I said you living with a friend, sleep on his couch. What the fuck? You ain't got nothing off this. Worry about you, okay? Focus on what the fuck you need to be doing right now to make yourself successful. All right, and just chill out and work on you. And I'm telling you right now, like in a couple of years, man, you be good. He's like, oh man, he's like, I just love women. I just love hoes. Blah blah blah. I'm like, go in the bathroom, knock one out, and then come back out. And I bet she'll feel different.
Yeah.
That post-nut clarity is real. I'm telling you right now. And if there's number one thing I tell these little young motherfuckers, if I can just teach you how to be calm, right? Number one is to be calm, right? When bullshit happen like that, and to just say no to some of these, just to say no to some of this pussy out here, okay?
Yeah,
Those
they
two,
be,
your life will dramatically change.
yeah, they just be too quick, like
Way too quick.
just be too quick, just desperate, just and that again, it's just that mentality leads to other things, and like in our culture, it's just like fast money,
Oh,
fast girls, everything is quick. How can I get it as quickly as possible? And I think that mentality kind of comes perspective of right. If you live in that street life, you ain't expecting to live very long.
nope.
Like, matter of fact, not want to belabor this point, but I was watching a live stream, one of Kendra G's live streams. You know, she does that dating show,
Yeah.
and she had a guy on there who was in jail from like 14 to 18, and when he got out of jail, he just started like having babies with girls, right? And he told Kendra the reason he did that is because he felt like he had to play catch up because he was in jail.
But
It sounds crazy to me, but I'm like, I guess if I'm not, I mean, if I'm already in jail at 14, like my life is already, and like my thought is like, dang, I'm at the lowest point I could possibly be at 14. I can't get out of this. What can I do? I can spread my seed. It sounds crazy, but it's just like it's just this very like low level, depressing, I'm not worth anything like mindset, and it's just like my thing is like sometimes I get so riled up thinking like, man, how can I help as many people as possible? It's just like, dude, how can I help one kid? If everyone can help one person say some kind words, like you go to a barbershop and you see like a single mom, she got a son, maybe pay for his haircut. Say some kind words, just something simple, because it's just like, you need to encourage people. Just say something, just be honest and be authentic. And it's just one person at a time. That's something I'm trying to work on rather than being so like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. Just if I see something simple, like a simple gesture, I see a kid, say what's up, say a few kind words, say how he's doing, just show some type of interest, something, because people out here are lost and just are having problems being able to really like, there's not being guided.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why like you got all of the red pill and all this stuff going on right now too, right? Which it's definitely stemming from like lack of like healthy male figures in like a lot of these young men's lives. And that's why you see people like Andrew Tate, who I really don't have anything super personal against, right? I don't agree with everything he says. Like, I mean, that's obvious. You know what I mean? I think he is funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is funny though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely think that it could be in a more healthy manner though.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a heavy shock value. I'm not.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but that's the whole Kevin Samuels thing too. We were just talking about it. And I think the reason why I don't, like, even like Fresh and Fit, like I remember I used to watch them because I really felt like they were trying to help. But then the more I kind of started watching them, I'm like, first of all, y'all niggas are our age. Like, you're like, mid to like early 30s, right? And you got all these 18, 19-year-olds, like, who don't know no better, right? And then you're in Miami on top of it, which is not real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're up here and you're telling all of these girls, right? And I think the thing that I get so upset about too is that when I would, like the live chats and shit like that they have, and I see all these dudes over here like, yeah, she's for the streets and blah, 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 and all this, and talking all of this shit or whatever, right? But they be the first one, number one, to subscribe to their OnlyFans, right? And number two, they still in real life will try to holler at them or they try to slide in their DMs and shit like that. And so I think my problem with like all of this stuff, right? If you're gonna run a male improvement show, podcast, whatever it is, I'm with it. For real, I'm 100% with it, right? But you saying, oh, these women are going to die alone and all of this stuff like that, number one, how is that going to help them, right? You know what I'm saying? Number two, and most importantly, if what you're saying is true and you would never want to be with this woman, whatever, right? Okay, cool. Then leave them with the fuck alone. Just don't talk. That's my big thing. Just don't talk to them. Because guess what? All the other people, right, who really don't like those type of women or whatever, right, from like other countries, they're just not going to talk to them. And guess what? If you're really telling the truth, and they're going to die alone in, 60, 70 years, they can't find anybody, whatever, right? Then guess what? Then just leave those women alone, and in 30 years, we're going to find out if you were telling the truth or not.
I agree. It's come to the point where it's like one of the things I noticed about that community, the Red Pill community, was like you get so upset about how women were, these talk these modern these liberal shows. You're bashing men. A lot of these red pill shows, what are you doing? You're just bashing. You haven't changed any. All you've done is just flipped it. You haven't actually improved anything. It's like even the whole single mom conversation. Like to me, like water seeks its own level. Like some people are gonna have to like it's okay to marry a single mom if she fits what you're asking for. Like you can't like not everyone's gonna be able to get a 10, not everyone's gonna get a 20-year-old with no kids.
Yeah, like
and if you are doing that, that means you're probably in the top 1%. But if you're listening to that show, you probably aren't in the top 1%.
That's what I'm saying.
You're working 15-hour days. You're like up to your eyeballs in paperwork.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's my thing. It's just like those to me. Some of those shows don't. It's not reality.
Yeah.
That's not how the real world works.
No,
it's just that's my. I agree with you, Dan. It's just like I wish those shows and things like the red pill community, they do preach a lot of good things, Andrew Tate, but not. But can you talk to the average guy? Yeah. Can you talk to the average woman? Can we compromise? Can we union? Can we build rather than tear each other apart? It's just stupid. Like. Again, it's funny to watch. It's hilarious, but it's not.
It is, right? But again, we know at our age, we know that that's not the world. But I'm concerned about a lot of young men thinking that, and young women, right, thinking that there are no good men or women out there, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, like if you watch Friends Fit, you would really think every woman out here.
Yeah, you do.
It's a bimbo, got OnlyFans.
Yep.
Out here trying to get your money, and I'm like, yo, that's really not the case. Like, and again, you're gonna have to make some compromises. Like, for example, like in most households in America today, you're probably gonna have two people work if you want to live the lifestyle you want, which is an Instagram lifestyle because you're always on Instagram. You want more. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just gonna have to split bills, split chores, split diaper duty. That's just what it's gonna be. Rather than sitting in this world, well, I'm a work. She gonna cook, clean. I'm like, look, if you get there, bro, do that. But more than likely, that ain't gonna happen. This is not gonna happen. It could, but you're probably not listening to this podcast if you're doing that as well.
Thank you. That's all I'm trying to say.
Because I'm like on those podcasts, what percentage do you think the guys on there are making like $500,000, $1 million?
I'd say less than
who are not like. People in the red who are not in or on the show who are not in the red pill space who are basically trying to pick up other content or curate things. Just random dudes who are just not in the space.
Less than 0.01%. I can guarantee.
Something crazy like exactly.
Less than 0.1%. Yeah, you know what I mean. Again, like picking a partner, make sure you get the right partner. Right, for men and women, it's really important. Right. And that's why it's like super important to make sure you're vetting your partner, right? And everybody's gonna have issues, right? But if they are a good person, good heart, you know that they would go to bat for you and vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, okay, if you like, my big thing is like whole cooking thing, which really gets my nerve, right? First of all, if you're a grown man or woman, you don't know how to cook, that's a fucking problem. Let me make that very clear. That is a huge issue for me that you are a grown man or a woman, right? And I'm gonna say this again. First and foremost, cooking. It's not a feminine thing. It is not. Still to this day, I think the top 10 best chefs in the world, 80% of them are all men. And have been for the bulk of history. Let's make that very clear. You go to any other country around the world, men there know how to cook just as well as the women do. It's just the truth. All right? It's about give and take. Traditionally, the men went out and worked, right? So then what did the women do? They were trying to help. Okay, so then yes, they kept up the house. It was a partnership. But you sitting there saying like, "Oh, she's not a real woman if she can't cook." I'm like, nigga, you can't fix a car, you can't build a house, you can shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that shit just get on my nerve. You know
I agree. Don't ask for something that you can't offer.
And that's the problem, bro. That's the shit I don't like. Look, hey, my big thing is that if you're a traditional dude, you working, you taking care of all the bills, right? And then, your wife want to stay at home and she's okay with it and that dynamic works for you, that's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I really don't have an issue with it. And in a perfect world, yeah, would that be great? Absolutely. In a perfect world, would it be great if you still had the money to go on trips, twice a year and still have, your wife stay at home, with the kids if she was okay with that? That would be great. But it's just not where we're at today, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, you think back to our parents' generation or your grandparents' generation. They didn't. I mean, like, what 19? I mean, like when did commercial trans like union flights become a normal thing?
Yeah, no, it was at
Uh,
least what 50 years ago, maybe longer.
It's that's a brand new thing of going across the world and like not being like something you only did for like military transport.
Yeah,
Like, but now that's like a normal thing, so people expect that. But it's just like, yo, that's it's expensive.
it is.
So it's like if you're gonna want to do that, you're gonna have to be able to support like that. You know, your kids doing that. I mean, think about even going to Disneyland.
Yeah,
That's a crazy expensive trip that like a lot of people think they just deserve. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's fine, but man, it's probably gonna take two incomes, or you're gonna have to work a lot. Like one person gonna have to work a lot, and you're gonna have to compromise. Someone gonna have to cook, someone gonna have to clean, change diapers. But as long as you with a partner, you guys are willing to compromise and do those things, and be happy about it. Don't worry about looking beta. Again, there are, and I mean to be correct, there are things that you can do that are beta that I do not agree with. But
yeah,
I'm saying don't allow other people's like opinions that necessarily don't make sense to drive your decision. Like
yeah.
if
I
you like
agree.
the girl, she's nice, she does this and that. Don't let the fact that I don't know, she ain't a 10 deflect you. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep everything in perspective, right? If she's a nice girl, she does things, she works out, she does that. Go after it, man. I mean,
Yeah, ain't wrong with
just
that.
don't get so wrapped up in like what certain people are saying on the internet because you can't trust them. The same way you can't trust like a lot of the media outlets because everyone's out here trying to get a buck off of you. So it's just
Yeah,
like you got to
yeah,
take things with a grain of salt.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, but that was a good episode.
Yeah,
We will be dropping them more frequently. Um, like I said before, new fitness channel is out. Liftish. We are going to drop the link, and then we're also going to be doing a separate channel for like the anime stuff too. And I'm in the works of setting that up now too. Anything real quick before we take off?
nah, that's it, man. About to put my kid in the rock him to sleep, but
There we go.
that's it, man. That was a good episode, man. I just like I said,
I
hopefully
know.
our
It's
hopefully our community can make some strides and rest in peace, take off, man. That's
yeah, for real, man.
and
That
the
shit
other,
is
and hopefully the other two people they pulled through, man. Because at the end of the day, anyone dying, getting hurt in that situation is just silly.
so.
I don't
So
care
it's
who it is.
from what I understand though, it was a man and a woman. They were both pretty young, like 22, 23, but they were taken to the hospital, but it was like non-threatening life injuries though. So
Okay, well,
yeah,
that thank God because it's a silly situation to be in that.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
that part's good at least. At least you know,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah. But yeah, but like I said, that's a wrap, and this is Common Sense, and we are out.
yeah.
Peace.